Donald Trump went to his own golf club, expecting another weekend of cameras, applause, and attention. Instead, the pictures coming out of that trip created a very different story. Because in just a few images, Trump's golf weekend brought together something he has spent years attacking, something he has repeatedly promised not to do, and a growing controversy that followed him right onto the course. And the more you look at the footage, the harder that contradiction becomes to ignore. This was Trump arriving at his Bedminster Golf Club as the LIV golf tournament was taking place. And normally, there would be nothing particularly unusual about a president visiting a golf course. But this is Donald Trump, the same man who spent years attacking Barack Obama for playing golf while in office. In fact, Trump didn't just criticize Obama. He repeatedly promised voters that he would be different.
Because I'm going to be working for you. I'm not going to have time to go play golf. Believe me, folks.
Everything's executive order because he doesn't have enough time because he's playing so much golf. He doesn't have enough time to convince Congress to do it. So I have the greatest stuff. But you know what? And I love golf. But if I were in the White House, I don't think I'd ever see Turnberry again. I just want to stay in the White House and work my ass off.
Trump built part of his political identity around the idea that Obama was wasting time on the golf course instead of working. But now, golf isn't an occasional photo opportunity for Trump. It has become one of the recurring images of his presidency.
Golf Digest called him Trump is getting heat because he himself has been doing so much golfing.
He's the Tiger Woods of hypocrisy.
Before he was president, Trump posted tweets like, "Can you believe that with all of the problems and difficulties facing the U.S., President Obama spent the day playing golf?"
And the footage is impossible to miss. Trump isn't simply visiting the property. He's participating in the event, surrounded by spectators and cameras. But here's where the story gets more complicated. The golf itself wasn't the only thing attracting attention that weekend. The way Trump was being protected, the people surrounding him, and the imagery coming out of the club all became part of a much larger conversation.
USA! 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 USA!
Donald Trump went to his golf club expecting another weekend surrounded by cameras, supporters, and the kind of attention he has always enjoyed. But this time, the pictures coming out of that trip create a very different story, because what looked like an ordinary golf weekend quickly turned into a political headache involving Trump's long history with golf, his own past promises, the growing scrutiny over his appearance, and a series of images that critics immediately seized on. And the strange part is that Trump himself helped create the contradiction. For years, Donald Trump repeatedly attacked Barack Obama for playing golf while serving as president. He portrayed Obama's golf outings as proof that the president wasn't working hard enough. Trump even told voters that if he became president, he would be too busy working for the American people to spend his time on the golf course. That promise was very clear. But years later, the situation looks remarkably different. Golf has become a regular part of Trump's presidency, and this weekend was another example. Trump traveled to his New Jersey golf club while the LIV golf tournament was taking place there. Instead of simply being a private weekend away from Washington, Trump's appearance quickly became part of the event itself. Cameras followed him, crowds watched him, and once again, the president's golf course became the backdrop for another political controversy. But here's where things get more interesting. The problem isn't simply that Trump plays golf. Presidents have always taken vacations, played sports, and found ways to relax. The real issue is the contradiction between what Trump used to say about presidential golf and what he is doing now. When Obama played golf, Trump treated it as evidence of presidential failure. When Trump plays golf, his supporters often describe it as simply part of his lifestyle. That double standard is exactly why these images attract so much attention. But golf wasn't the only controversy surrounding this particular weekend. Images of Trump also triggered another round of discussion about his health and appearance. Photographs showed visible marks on his arm, and those images quickly spread across social media. People began speculating about what they might mean. But there is an important distinction here. A photograph can show you what someone looked like at a particular moment. It cannot by itself tell you what medical condition that person has. So the responsible question isn't whether one photograph somehow proves that Trump is sick. It doesn't. The more interesting question is why images like these have become such a major part of the political conversation surrounding him. And that brings us to another striking part of the weekend. Trump was surrounded by members of his team, including aide Natalie Harp, who was seen carrying multiple devices and materials while accompanying him. Once again, the images became fuel for online discussion. But put all of these moments together and you start to see why the weekend became such a political spectacle. Trump was at his own golf club. A major golf tournament was taking place there. He made an appearance that attracted significant attention. Images of his security arrangements circulated. Photos of his appearance sparked another wave of health speculation, and his old comments about presidential golf suddenly looked very different when compared with his current behavior. That's the bigger story. It's not that one photograph suddenly proves everything Trump's critics claim. It doesn't. It's that these images expose a contradiction that has been building for years. Trump once told Americans that a president who spent too much time on the golf course wasn't working hard enough. He used golf as a political weapon against Obama. He promised that he would be different. And now, during his own presidency, golf has once again become a recurring part of his public image. The difference is that this time, the criticism is coming back at him, and that's why this particular weekend became more than just another trip to a golf course. It became a snapshot of the Trump presidency itself. A president surrounded by cameras, a political figure whose every photograph is analysed, a man who once used golf to attack his predecessor, now facing criticism over his own relationship with the sport, and an administration where even an ordinary weekend can quickly become another political controversy. So to summarize everything we've seen, Trump's latest golf outing wasn't controversial simply because he played golf. The bigger issue is the contradiction between his old attacks on presidential golf and his own behavior today. At the same time, new photographs of Trump sparked fresh discussion about his appearance and health, although those images alone cannot establish a medical diagnosis. And because Trump is one of the most heavily scrutinized political figures in the world, every new photograph can quickly become a political story. In the end, the most damaging part may not be any single picture at all. It may simply be the fact that Trump spent years telling Americans what presidential leadership should look like, and now his own presidency is giving critics plenty of material to compare those promises with reality. And that is why this golf trip became much bigger than golf. If you think the contradiction is worth discussing, let me know your opinion in the comments, and subscribe for more political breakdowns.